how you cover issues here. In Battle Creek, there's a group of funders that are in this, that are obviously related to all this, but they're funding lots of stuff in the community. And so we're going to work with them as a little group just to help them sort of turn, what we would say, turn outward and start to think about the community differently so they can start applying it wherever they are and in meetings together where they start talking about change making in the community. So the list is, I mean, the list could go on. Arts groups in some communities. In Battle Creek, the arts groups will be here. In Flint, Michigan, the arts group was one of the key core. They were the key organization that ultimately enabled us to move forward. It was the United Way. Which particular arts group? It was the Flint Cultural Corporation. Wow. So it was made up of 7 institutes, youth theater, other things. And why they were so important is because at the core of the Flint dilemma was an ingrained narrative that said nothing ever good will happen here because nothing good has ever happened here. And we're dependent on General Motors. What we found was arts was the best and fastest way to engage people to think about their relationship to themselves, each other, and the community, and their aspirations moving forward. So all these arts groups adopted our work, and they ultimately ended up creating plays for the stage that reflected back to the community what they were saying. One, I think, went off Broadway. So there was Arts, United Way, some churches. The Community Foundation there did not want to play. The city did not want to play. That mayor ultimately was recalled. But
we'll let Carolyn know.
I'm not saying for that person, but the mayor wouldn't even meet with us. Ultimately, he was recalled by the community. Ultimately, the school board became one of the cores. So it was made up. It ended up becoming made up of people who came out of our lab. So this gets jiggered differently in each community, but it's basically just a model that's an approach, not a model, that says we need drivers, that's the core. We need people on the ground doing the work, that's in this case the pillars. We need to get some of these cross-cutting groups that cross-fertilize stuff, that are in conversations, to be advocates for what we're doing. I mean, genuine advocates in terms of, let's think about this differently. Let's ask a different set of questions. Let's apply this to our work in a different way. Because we know that without connective tissue, this stuff doesn't go anywhere. It just stays in a pocket. And the idea of this approach is you create both an overlay of sort of aspirations about where we're going, which also goes to the community assessment stuff that I know the city and Cass is thinking about. And it also goes to peeling off the right pockets so you can demonstrate change. And then it goes to how do you create that trajectory and start to spread it to other places. So that is a process. There's a whole sort of unfolding of things.
Can I clarify, for pillars you mentioned implementers, is that also service providers?
Yeah, actually Gard and Julie and Cass can talk about this much better than I can, and Lucy. So,
yeah, the idea is that there's certain, if you will, driving factors or values in a community which make for community. And so education is certainly one of those pieces. Healthcare is another piece. Social welfare is another piece. I think business, the economy has something to do with it. I think the arts has something to do with it. I think the environment also has something to do with it. So in my imagination, those are some of the key aspects of what, if you will, undergirds a community. Mm-hmm. And so can we give a voice through the citizens who are impassioned about these areas so that they can collaborate together as well as apart to, if you will, be drivers of systemic change in each of those arenas, and realizing that each one affects the other.
Right, and part of this, the beauty of this actually, because of the thinking you guys have already been doing is, there's some capacity building that works sort of in just neutral environments where you're just trying to build some group's capacity. But it tends to take fastest if it's connected to something that people are working on. And then you sort of generalize from that to the rest of the organization or group. So in a sense, the pillars give all this focus. I mean, this is the focus really, because this is about the community.
Right.
These become supporters of that so that the pillars can be effective, more effective than they might otherwise be. and so that there's focus, so people just aren't running around.
So for instance, Cindy, are you there? Cindy?